Oh, hey everybody.
I'm Rick. Welcome to Talking Habs,
Where you get your daily fix of the Blue Blanc Rouge. Now, I'm not crazy.
Stay right there. It's time for Weekend Hockey Update with Rick. I'm Rick, here with all the news that's fit to talk about, and maybe even some that's not. All right, let's get right into the news. As of October 8th, the Bell Center will be allowed full capacity, fully vaxxed, with passport and masks. So that's just in time for the opening night. The last preseason game, I believe, is on the 7th. So this will be only starting opening night. Cole Caulfield told Coach Dom that if it were up to him, he would be practicing and not waiting to return to the ice next week. Said Coach Dom, "I didn't know Cole was studying to be a doctor at the University of Wisconsin." Matthias Norlinder suffered a minor injury and is day-to-day. So I think this means he'll probably not play another game and go back to Frölunda in the SHL. It's kind of disappointing that we don't get to see Norlinder a little bit more, but with this injury and he doesn't seem to be in the lineup for tonight, that I don't think that we will see him anymore in the training camp. And that's just too bad. But I did not expect him to stick with the team this year, so I think he was going to be going back to Sweden anyway, and we'll see him next year at training camp. Joel Edmondson is still day-to-day. He hasn't played yet in camp, and to me that's a bit worrisome. He's not in the lineup for tonight, and that's game 4, and they said it wouldn't be long for Edmondson to be appearing in camp, so I wonder if it's imminent or there's something a little bit more, or he might have even made it a little worse by skating on his own. So Joel Edmondson, a little worrisome that he's not played yet. The Canadiens have claimed goaltender Samuel Montembeault off of the Florida Panthers roster. He was placed on waivers. It looks like he'll be back up at the beginning of the season. I imagine this signals that Carey Price is probably not exactly ready just yet, and they picked up a backup goalie so that Caden Primo can stay in Laval. He is from Quebec, from Bécancour. As you can see from his record, it's not the greatest numbers, but he should be an adequate backup if they need a backup if Carey Price gets hurt, or like we're suspecting that he's not ready right now at the beginning of the season. He's a little bit behind schedule for his recovery. The Montreal Canadiens have cut 9 players. Most of the players cut have been in the team's minor league group at practices. Players on NHL contracts who were cut include forwards Arsen Kizamuktinov, Cam Hillis, Joel Teasdale, defenseman Louis Belpedio, Xavier Ouellet, and Josh Brook. Of that group, Ouellet and Belpedio need to clear waivers this afternoon, and Teasdale and Brook are injured. Players with AHL contracts who were cut include forwards Peter Abandonado, Cedric Duruiseau, Justin Ducharme, Brandon Gignac, Jake Lucchini, Sean Saint-Amand, and Kevin Roy. Or Kevin Roy, I don't know if he's English or French. Defenseman Terrence Amorosa, Charles David Baudouin, Tori Dello, Cody Golubeff, and Carl Neal, and also goaltender Alexis Gravel, who I was kind of thinking that he might have a good camp, but he did not really get much of a chance. I don't know if it's from his play or there's another reason. Gravel and Golubeff were here at camp on tryouts, so they'll have to be signed to AHL contracts if they're going to stay with the minor team. Lucas Vadimo, Jan Mysak, and I think it's Gabriel Fortin. But anyway, Fortin. We're also cut. That's on Saturday, and that is the day I am filming. Vadimo will have to clear waivers first. Mysak was sent to Hamilton. I don't know if it's the Bulldogs, but Hamilton of the OHL. There's an update because there were 2 more players later in the day that were cut, and that's Derek Martel and goalie Kevin Poulin. They've also been cut and sent to Laval. Habs news is the signings for the Vancouver Canucks for two players that everyone's been expecting to see what they'd get and when they'd be signed, and that's Quinn Hughes and Elias Pettersson. So Quinn Hughes signed for 6 years at $7.85 million AAV, and Pettersson signed a bridge deal, 3 years at $7.35 million AAV. So I think with Hughes, that brings him to a free agency. I think that brings him to free agency or just before. And with Pettersson, like I said, that's a bridge deal. And obviously, when in 3 years' time, if he continues on the trend he is, he'll be making a lot more than that. But then again, at that point, the cap will be starting to go up, and more money will be there. And I imagine that's why he signed the bridge deal. So it was announced, I'm not sure exactly when, but a little bit ago, that the NHL was going to be cracking down on cross-checking. And Leafs coach Sheldon Keefe thinks it's possible, or that the crackdown on cross-checking will help the Leafs. Says Keefe, with the Leafs being such a soft team, the increased power play will be good for them. He also thinks, if successful, and cross-checking stops being used so much, his soft but expensive trio of Matthews, Marner, and Tavares will be less afraid on the ice, will get hurt much less often. He also says there's a financial benefit for the team as well, since they'll need to buy far fewer diapers for the players to wear during games. The Toronto Maple Leafs also have some news on a new sponsor announcement for the helmets. So they got, I think all the teams are going to have a sponsor on the helmet. And for Toronto Maple Leafs, they've announced this new sponsor, Choke Cola. Choke Cola. Now, even chokier. Choke Cola. Who's buying the next round? Oh, yeah, we never make it to the next round. Apparently, Austin Matthews' dad and Cole Caulfield's dad knew each other as babies. So there's an old photo of the two toddlers that was recently found and was released, I believe, yesterday. And oddly, it's a bit of an omen for the future. I'm going to show you. Here it is. What do you think? The Nashville Predators have revealed their new sponsored jersey for the 2022-23 season. As you all know, they're going to allow sponsorship ads on jerseys, and this will be Nashville's new one. This new Nashville jersey is sponsored by the makers of Rohypnol. This jersey's already being met with a lot of controversy, and so let me know what you think in the comment section. Do you think it's in poor taste, or do you like it? There was a team from Toronto. They were called the Leafs. They were a very soft team, rarely getting into beefs. When the league cracked down on cross-checking, they collectively said, "Thank God." I hate it when those brutes try to damage my sexy bod. Sheldon Keefe, their coach, said the Leafs should really benefit from having star center Captain Underpants not constantly having to go take a shit. Coach Dom, impressed with newcomer Christian Dvorak, Devo. I knew he was a complete solid hockey player, but I see little things that make me realize he's even smarter than I thought, said Ducharme. He's a really focused guy. He's having fun quietly with the guys, but he comes in and he's pretty much business. I think one of the reasons he's reacting that way on the ice is because he pays attention to every little thing that a hockey player needs to be paying attention to be successful. There's a reason he's playing that way. His focus, the way he handles himself. I think he's going to become, down the road, like a really quiet leader. Just the way he plays will influence a lot of his teammates. I mean, that was nice words from the coach. I like what I've seen so far from Devo. On the power play especially, he's come as advertised. He's got a nose for the net, likes to go there. Has his stick on the ice all the time. So when he's playing in tight to the net, he deflects a lot of pucks, redirects, and you saw that already in the few power play goals that his lines already generated in the 2 games they played. So I really like this guy. If that's a sign of what we're going to be getting from Christian Dvorak over this season, I think that our predictions for him having maybe a career year, I mean, I think it's obvious he's going to have a career year. I think they're going to be right on the money, and I think Christian Dvorak is quickly going to become a fan favorite, and we're going to be very happy. And maybe even by the end of the year, be going, KK, who's that? Oh, yeah, I remember him. It might happen. So players that I'm impressed with at camp so far. First up, Caden Gooley. Caden Gooley has shown he's 19 years old, and he does not look like a 19-year-old player. Is he ready yet? I don't think so. I don't think he's fully ready yet. But, man, this kid is close to being ready, especially on the defensive side and on the physical side. And for a 19-year-old kid, I got to tell you, he seems to handle the physical play quite well. He doesn't look like you're going to say about him, well, he needs to get a little bit more muscle and get a little stronger. He's handling the physical play and the battles along the boards and all over the ice. And imagine when he does fill out a little more and he gets stronger, he's going to be quite dominant out there. So this is something that the coach had to say on Caden Gooley. He led the team in ice time against the Maple Leafs that was, I think, the first game, with 23-44. While Caulfield might be one of the flashiest players the Canadiens have drafted in recent memory, Gooley is the opposite. He's a big physical defender who doesn't go for the big open ice hits, but just battles and wins pucks while playing a steady defensive position. That's exactly what he did all night for the Canadiens against the Leafs on Monday. He was on the ice more than anyone else, but he was barely noticed because he isn't an offensive-minded player, and he doesn't get beat defensively. Gooley projects as a top 4 defender who doesn't add a lot of scoring, but can play big minutes, shut things down defensively, and bring some physicality as well. He did all of those things on Monday. That was the first game. And though it was just an early preseason game, if he continues to play like that for the next 2 weeks, he might be playing regular minutes. Gooley was impressively calm, cool, and collected while answering questions from the media. He looked the same way on the ice. Obviously, there's a little bit of nerves, but this is what you want to be. This is where you want to be, Gooley said. There was a little bit of nerves, but I was more excited than anything. I've been waiting for this for about a year now, ever since I got drafted. Coming to camp and playing a couple of games or playing a game, I'm more excited than nerves. I was just excited to get out there in front of the fans, too. It was great. It didn't sound like 7,500. They were awesome tonight. Again, just great to get the win. Canadiens head coach Dominic Ducharme said he liked the way Gooley defended, taking space away quickly, being physical, and not afraid to block shots. Ducharme also liked the efficiency of Gooley's first pass and his overall composure. And that's that sums it up. That's what Gooley looked like. He had a lot of composure. He didn't look nervous out there. He looked, I know it's a preseason game, right? I get that. And that's why I say I don't think he's ready yet, but he looked like a veteran in camp, not a rookie in camp. And that's something that's really kind of amazing. He's only 19 years old. He's a defenseman. They usually take a lot longer to develop. I think this kid is going to develop pretty quickly. I don't think he's going to be a regular this season on the Habs. I think we'll see him for at least a cup of coffee, which is a couple of games. He may even break camp with Montreal and get a few games right at the beginning of the year. But I think by next season, he has a shot to make this roster as a permanent regular defenseman. Caden Gooley, very impressive. He also is kind of reminiscent of a defenseman who has captained this team as recently as last season and is out and may be retiring. Gooley and Shea Weber have a lot in common. I've got some clips here to show you, and they are we'll start off with Weber with a hip check into the board, and I have Gooley doing the same thing in junior, and you can see how they kind of look alike. So take a look at that's Weber. Now take a look at Gooley.
Hard hitter by Caden Gooley.
And we'll go back to Weber. And again, we're going to go back to Gooley.
And here come the tips up the ice. Hard hit by Caden Gooley.
And then one more time back to Weber. And back to Gooley.
Will make his way right to center.
And then here's a couple of other Gooley hits.
Once again, Vitelli sat down by Caden Gooley. More physical over the offensive line. He's flattened by Caden Gooley. Teddy Bears cleaned up, and a big hit by Caden Gooley.
So you can see Gooley looks a lot like Shea Weber. He's very reminiscent, plays a similar kind of game. I don't know that he has the offense, obviously, that Shea Weber has. I don't think he'll have that, but I do suspect that Gooley has a little bit more offense than they think or they expect from him. So we'll see if I'm right on that. We can compare junior stats for the two of them, and it's kind of interesting. So you can look at Weber with his 3 seasons in junior. 26 goals, 65 assists for 91 points in 185 games played. Gooley played a little bit less, but you can see in his 3rd season, he only had 2 games. I'm not sure exactly why. I think it's because of COVID. But if you prorate that out, I think I came to 26 goals and I think it was 72 assists. So a little bit more, but I mean, virtually the same. These guys put up the same kind of numbers. They look very similar on the ice. People are going around and saying that they're calling Gooley Shea Weber's son, and it's kind of amazing. We'll see how that plays out in his career, but it's nice to see that we have a guy coming up that's in the pipeline now that I don't know that he'll replace everything that Shea Weber did on the ice, but he's going to be able to do a lot of it, I think. So anyways, Caden Gooley, just somebody to look forward to. Anybody who thought, wow, Montreal wasted a pick on him at 16, and I know this kid Dawson Mercer is looking really good out there, but you know what? I think we're not gonna be sorry that Montreal drafted Caden Gooley. He's that type of defenseman, that stud on the back line, on the back end, that you can play for 25, 30 minutes a game, night in, night out in the playoffs, and that's the kind of guy that's going to help you win a Stanley Cup. That's what I see. I like the line of Drouin, Devo, and Anderson. That line really, they clicked really right away. They've got chemistry. We know now that Drouin and Anderson have become really good friends on and off the ice. It looks like I was talking about it in a video when I was talking about the lineup, the last projected lineup video, I think. And I had Drouin with Devo, and I explained why, that he's a playmaker. And Devo is a goal scorer, a shoot first kind of a center. And with a playmaker matched up with him, it's going to work out well. Early signs are that it will. It looks like they'll stay together and that Anderson will stay on that line. The talk already is that Gallagher will end up on the 3rd line with Hoffman and Evans or Paling when Hoffman gets back, which should only be about a week after season starts. So I think that line has been impressive in the both games that I've seen them. A little less so in the second game than the first, but they still on the power play. They were effective. There were points from those guys on the power play in both games. I think there was a total of 4 in 2 games, 4 power play goals from that line. So just it looks impressive. I'm impressed so far, and I hope this continues because it really gives Montreal that second line option. And then you can't key on Nick Suzuki's line. You can't key on Devo's line when you've got 2 good offensive lines going. Next guy that impressed me was, I think his name is Michael, but Pezzetta. Pezzetta's really got he's got impressive grit. He's not afraid to fight, stands up for his teammates, can score some goals and has some offense in him. I think all around this guy's really impressive as depth. I think he's going to go to Laval. I don't think he's going to stick with Montreal, but he's going to go to Laval. And now you got a guy, a winger that you can call up and he'll for a bottom 6 spot. And you probably going to get some good play for, a game, 2 games, 3 games. I'm really impressed so far with him. And we're going to look at Pezzetta, something that happened to him a little bit later on in this show. But Michael Pezzetta, is that his name? I think I'm getting the first name wrong, is impressive so far. And I think he's opened the eyes of the coaches, and they're going to take a good long look at him, and he'll get a spot in Laval. and pretty prominent, I would think. And I think this guy has a chance to be, a bottom 6 or a fourth liner in the NHL one day. He's got signs of that anyway, to me. Raphael Harvey-Pinard. I've been talking about this guy since Montreal drafted him. And I did predict that he would probably hit the Habs within 3 to 4 years. I don't think he'll be a regular here in this season and possibly next, but I think he's really close. I think we'll see him for a cup of coffee or two this season, especially if there's injuries. I think he could be a good call-up. He just seems like about a quarter step behind right now, just a little slow on the trigger, but those things are going to come shortly, I think, in this season. So he's almost there. I don't think he's ready yet, but he's really impressed me, and I think we'll see him at some point this season for the coaching staff to take a look at him and evaluate him in a regular season game with NHL competition. The one I'm not really sure, like he hasn't really impressed me, and I'm not sure about him yet, and that's a newcomer, Chris Weidman. First off, way smaller than I thought. I guess I could have looked at his bio and saw, but he was smaller than I thought. He is capable on the power play, so that's as advertised that he'd be a puck-moving defenseman that can contribute on the power play and basically a power play specialist even. But I kind of think he hurts the team 5-on-5. Like I really do. And it's kind of typical of like most puck movers, puck-moving defensemen, and like his defense leaves you expecting more or really wanting. Not wanting more as in, I want to see him out there more, like really wanting to see more from the kid. So it seems like he's got the 7th spot or the 6th spot, and maybe it's going to be Kulak sitting. I haven't seen much of Kulak if I've seen him, I think in the first game, but I haven't seen much of Kulak. I don't know. His small size doesn't help him, I think. He gets overpowered and knocked off the puck in key battles in front of the net or along the boards, and it's it's like he's a better, like more offensively talented Victor Mete, but it's some of the same problems with Victor Mete, right? He was out-muscled, being a small guy, and but when it comes to speed, moving the puck, they're good. I think Weidman would get more points than Mete, but it's basically a slight upgrade on Victor Mete. So I don't know what will happen. I want to see a little more. I think we will of Weidman in camp. There's still 3 games to go, and I don't know how much better he can get 5-on-5, and if he'll not hurt you pretty much every game is what I'm thinking. We want you to become a member of Talking Habs. So while Ryan Poehling hasn't really looked impressive yet in camp, his advanced stats look pretty good according to people who know how to read them, which I'm not really one of them. But he has 60% at the faceoff circle, so at the dot, he's doing well. And he's had line mates that are kind of average at best, not really NHL line mates. The night of the game that I'm recording this, he is going to be lining up with Lehkonen. Ilonen is supposed to be NHL ready. We'll see. But at least it's better line mates, and we'll see if we get a better game from him. I saw someone describe it as he's supposed to look hungry this season in camp, but he kind of looks like he's full. Right? Not really engaged enough. Underwhelming performances. So his numbers and his advanced stats might look good, but I think they can be a little bit misleading here. So I'm not sure. He's on a 2-way contract. I think it's one of the reasons that he is, because they weren't sure about him. And I don't know that he's impressed the coaches here enough to get the spot that a lot of people are expecting him to take. So we'll have to see. I don't know. I'm not so sure with Ryan Poehling at this point. But I think at worst, he goes back to Laval, and he'll put some time in there, continue what he did last season there, and make the jump when there's an opening, or he just proves that he is, you have to bring him up because he's playing that well. That's what I think. Now, there were 2 hits in the last game. One was kind of, I want to call it a hit. It was more like a mugging or an assault. And the other was a bad hit. I'm going to talk about the hit that was really ugly. and it was by Drake. Is it Drake Batherson? So he hit Sami Niku against the boards. Now, Niku wasn't far enough away from the boards that you would call that boarding, but it was not a good hit. Niku got pushed up hard against the glass. His face banged into the glass, and he ended up with a big cut on his face. And the thing is, it was kind of shameful for the rest, because there was a ref right there. So I'm going to show you in the video right now. Evil Corp quote. Let's be clear. Our officials are not only the best hockey officials in the world, they're the best officials in any sport. Evil Corp. So there was a ref right there, and there wasn't even a penalty on the play. There's no subsequent discipline from the dopes at DOPS in the NHL. So there's just nothing. And as it turns out that Niku is out with a concussion, and he'll be out indefinitely. So that's the update. He is going to be out indefinitely with this concussion. So I don't understand. I guess we're in for another great season with the refs, right? I think there should be at least a game or two suspension on that hit. And there will be no call. There was no penalty on the play, and there will be no call from the what do they call that? Player safety. Player safety. And if you watch that, I mean, you guys just saw the video. Player safety said no penalty or no discipline on that call. Don't you think it's time safety came out of that, and it's not player safety anymore? Like, where's the safety from them? Where are they looking out for player safety? I don't get it. I just don't get it. And that Barry, yeah, he should be called Barry Getman. That Gary Bettman quote is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And let me know what you guys think in the comment section on that. I'd like to know what you guys think and what you think about this next one that's coming up. Subscribe and ring that notifications bell. And hey, give a thumbs up. So, Austin Watson. I want to call it an assault on Pezzetta. I know Pezzetta was playing a very gritty game. He had a fight with, I don't remember the guy's name. He had a fight with a player that he totally just took the guy to school. I think it was Kelly. He had zero chance in that fight, Kelly. Pezzetta just came up swinging, and yeah. So I imagine that's what this was about, but it was an assault. Watson comes up, as you're going to see in this clip. He grabs him by the neck, tackles him, straddles him from behind with his knees behind Pezzetta's legs to hold him down, and he rapes him. Watson just comes up, grabs him by the neck, and hauls him down like a tackle. It's ridiculous. And then he gets on top of him from behind, grabs him by the neck, shakes like up and down a little bit, but he's got his knees on the back of Pezzetta's legs, and he just goes ahead and rapes the guy. I don't know what else you're going to call it. It looked like a rape to me. So apparently, rape is allowed in the NHL. It's allowed. So anyways, take a look at the clip again. He grabs him by the neck, tackles him, straddles him from behind with his knees behind Pezzetta's legs to hold him down, and he rapes him. Let me know what you think in the comment section. I think it's just brutal. I don't know what this season's going to look like with refs in the NHL, but last season was pretty damn bad, and I think this season's going to be maybe worse. And I think it's because, honestly, this is my hot take, I guess. I think Gary Bettman is playing to the American audience. The American audience really likes that kind of stuff, and they like the fights, they like the hits, they like to see people get hurt. Let's be honest. That's the truth, in my opinion. And I think they're playing up to that. And I think that's why we're seeing the worst refereeing in the history of the NHL, because I've seen bad refereeing all my life growing up watching hockey, but I don't think I've ever seen as bad as I'm seeing these last couple of seasons and what I'm expecting to see in the upcoming season. And we're going to end this first ever weekend hockey update with on a positive note. So here's a little picture. So here's a picture of Jonathan Drouin receiving the Jean Bellavo trophy, and he's being given that by Elise Bellavo. That's Jean Bellavo's widow. And so, he was presented with the trophy, and this is for his contributions and dedication to the community. So I do understand that he does a lot. He has that big golf tournament. He gives a lot of money to charity. He does a lot for the community. And so he gets the award. And it's nice to see Jonathan Drouin get an award. And I want to see him have a really good year and not necessarily have a comeback, because he hasn't really fulfilled his expectations. But I'd like to see that happen this year. And I think if there's a year that it was going to happen, it's going to be this year. So good on Jonathan Drouin for winning the Jean Bellavo trophy. That's it. Bye, everybody. Peace out. See you next time. The Nashville Predators have revealed blah, 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 blah. You can't cross-check, but you can sure rape a guy from behind. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hey, check out that video over there.